Do we have the 30-second thing? Or am I just live? Good evening and welcome to Sports Caffeine Nightcap. This is our debut episode of our show that we have in the morning, Sports Caffeine, to wake you up with. And this is your nightcap where we will review everything. It's going to be a very, very fun show tonight. And of course, our show is brought to you by Manscaped. Go to Manscaped.com. Get 20% off with promo code SC2020. It's going to be an awesome show tonight. We have Taylor Meeville, our regular Taylor, Taylor the Trolls, we'd like to call him. And we brought a very, very special guest on tonight, our friend Josh from Club Fantasy. And it's going to be a debate style. Since the presidential debate didn't really work out tonight, we figured we'd bring you a Sports Caffeine Nightcap debate. So let's bring in our guys. We have Taylor and Josh. There's Taylor. Oh, I think he's still muted. And Josh, thank you both for being here tonight. So
thanks for having me, Kristin.
Yeah, I was really excited about this. Like, we're debuting our show. We had a little bit of scheduling conflict. So thank you for jumping right in. And he actually came and saw us at Referee's Bar and Grill on Sunday.
He did. He had some good little nuggets to throw in there. We had a good day watching the games together. It was a great day actually watching the games together on my end.
My Baker Mayfield jersey, because again, the Browns beat the Dallas Cowboys, which I will never let you put that down.
Real quick, though, how good of a day was it, though, if you lost your starting quarterback for the season? I know you guys got to win, but it took a comeback to beat the Giants. Let's be honest here.
Listen, Kirk Cousins is now my fantasy quarterback, so it was a heartbreaker for me as well.
I'm in the same boat, Kristin, in one league.
I don't know. I mean, the Eagles lost to the Washington football team, so it's just. We're going to sweep.
We lost to the Steelers, actually, but sure.
Well, no, I'm just talking about initially.
In the beginning of the season, yeah.
Yeah. So that's your preview of tonight's show. What's going to happen is going to be a lot like that. So I want to start off with the big news of the day. Le'Veon Bell, Jets released Le'Veon Bell. He has been signed by the Kansas City Chiefs, which Patriots were in there, Bills were in there. I thought if you went to the Pats, they're always taking in, lost or broken down guys and making them good. What do you guys think of this signing? I know Hilaire has had some bumpy roads there. So Josh, I'm going to start with you because it's especially fantasy aspect. I want to know because you're a fantasy guy, but overall, what do you think he can bring to the Chiefs? Is he still relevant? Does anybody care about Le'Veon Bell?
Absolutely. I think when you're looking from a fantasy perspective, he should have a floor as a flex play. Edwards-Hilaire right now is RB12 in PPR leagues, and he's running about 65% of Kansas City snaps right now. So that tells me that Bell's going to get run. Maybe that comes up a little. Maybe he sees it's a 60-40 split, but even at a 65-35 split, there's enough usage in this offense because of the way that he's utilized as a pass catcher and the same way that CEH is used as a pass catcher. But for me, this is all about the red zone. It has been going all over Twitter, ESPN, all of your sports stations. CEH is abysmal inside the 5-yard line.
I like the adjective. Abysmal.
I'm sorry?
I like the adjective.
Great word.
Yeah. I know. He's been awful. The Chiefs have 9 carries inside the 5-yard line. CEH has 7 of them. That's 77.8% of the team's carries. He has -3 yards and 0 touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes has the other 2 carries, and both of those attempts went for touchdowns. Le'Veon Bell, over his career, well, let's just go back to 2017 with the Steelers, okay? That year, he had 58 carries inside the red zone. So we're going inside the 20-yard line, which was 73.4% of the team's attempts. Inside the 5, he had 6 carries out of 13 attempts and scored on all 6 of them. He knows how to get into the end zone. And he did this with a good offensive line. When you look at the Jets in 2019, per Pro Football Focus, their run blocking grade was 30th in the league. And he still managed 3 touchdowns on 5 carries. So he knows how to find holes through bad lines. The Chiefs right now Their run blocking unit is 18th, according to Pro Football Focus. So give him a little bit of a hole. He's going to find the end zone, and that is drastically going to improve their red zone uses. The Chiefs right now have 10 touchdown passes in the red zone. And again, Le'Veon Bell's usage as a receiving back, that will increase. So that, to me, that keeps his ceiling at least as an RB2, even with a lower split with CEH going forward.
Yeah, and he has a good coach. Adam Gase, we all know, is terrible. And so going from Mike Tomlin to Eric Reed, maybe he will get more usage. Taylor, do you have any debates to that? I mean, do you think he's good?
I think he's a waste of space, a waste of life. I think he basically should be playing with the Montreal Alouettes right now. I mean, since 2017, since he sat out in 2018, all he did was rap down in Miami down there.
Argonauts even?
At Nikki Beach.
Argonauts?
No, we want him with Toronto. We want him at Montreal. We want him losing with the Alouettes. So, yeah, he went down to Nikki Beach. He started rapping. He started drinking. He comes back last year. He's way out of shape. He rushes the ball for 3.2 yards a carry. Great job. Great job, Le'Veon. Comes back this year, gets basically outrushed by Frank Gore. You know how many fantasy points he has this year? 11.3 points.
You know how many games he's played? 2.
Yeah, exactly my point. Exactly my point. Once again, I had Jeff Wilson have one start and get more points. I had Chase Edmonds get more points in one start than he has all year.
All right, Chase.
No, I know. Me and Josh talked about it last week that he's a good.
So, Josh, I want to go through a little fantasy now. Oh, sorry, Taylor. I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
No, but bottom line is that I think the Chiefs have such a high-powered offense that they're not going to be using. I mean, they may use him on the goal line like once or twice here and there, but he's not going to make an impact in the long term, and you might as well just cut him and send him to the XFL.
So fantasy nugget, Frank Gore, is he worth a shot? We're all scrapping for running backs here. Frank Gore, now that Le'Veon's gone, is he going to be the guy in New York? I don't know what's going on.
As of right now, he's going to get more carries just because that's Adam Gase. That's what he does. This team is so bad. Why not play your young guys? They drafted LaMichael Pirine in the 4th round out of Florida. I think you're going to see a Gore and Pirine split going forward. But once Adam Gase gets fired, because let's face it, we all know it's going to happen at some point.
2 coaches has gotten fired before Adam Gase, which is
yeah. And I wouldn't be shocked if Detroit loses this week to Jacksonville if Patricia's on his way out in Detroit.
Yep.
But I think that Pirine is probably the guy that I would want for the rest of the season. But if you're in a pinch, I think that Gore should definitely be rostered because he's going to see carries. But again, behind a shoddy offensive line in New York, what's his upside? There is none.
Well, the craziest stat I saw today was that on 2nd and 10+ situations, the Jets are dead last at passing the ball. So they run the ball on 2nd and long more than any other team in the league, which is the stupidest thing ever, which is the reason why
you end up with the 32nd ranked offense.
Right, exactly. That's why Adam Gase needs to be fired. 2nd and 12, let's run it right there. So we have 3rd and 11. How about we do that? I
selfishly asked the question because I have Frank Gore, and I'm fighting between a Frank Gore, Zach Moss, and Malcolm Brown, which are all about
Zach Moss is healthy this week, so I have Zach Moss on every team because of you. Mind you, I draft him in every league, so I'm hoping.
I did see that they were talking about maybe should they trade Sam Darnold? I don't know. I know they didn't bring his rundown, but Joe Flacco, him and Jamison Crowder have that chemistry, but is Sam Darnold going to finish the year a Jet?
I think he'll finish the year as a Jet. I wouldn't bank on him being there much longer.
Okay.
Anytime you bring in a new head coach, the first thing they want to do is they want to draft their guy. Yeah. Right. It's so, just look at Ron Rivera in Washington. They didn't draft Dwayne Haskins. What'd he do? 5 weeks in, and they're like, all right, we're going to demote you. But not just demote you. We're going to make you 3rd string and inactive for the next week. That's just what.
And you're sick.
Yeah, exactly.
No, they're tanking for Trevor. And really, I don't know how really good Trevor Lawrence is, to be honest with you. He threw 30 swing passes against the U last week. So, that looks like Carson Wentz throwing a dump pass every other pass. So, Trevor Lawrence is the way to go. But I'm just saying,
Trevor Lawrence is Bay. Calm your ass down, okay? He's going to be the 1st overall pick. He's going to be a star. Right.
You are correct. I'm just saying he threw 30 screen passes last week. Let's actually.
That's how you lost.
They did. Our first loss ever.
you by throwing 30 screen passes, so maybe that works. I mean,
Oh, hey, Taylor, you're a Miami Hurricanes fan?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we have something in common for a change.
All about five chips to Kristin's none.
I remember 2002 when I was at the game and we beat you.
No, they held up the trophy for us, and then the confetti came down, and then they threw a flag from nowhere. I don't know where that came from.
That should have been anyways, moving on to your quarterback, which our thoughts and prayers all go out to Dak Prescott. It's a chair. I have the same injury. I have plates and screws and things in my ankle. I know it's no fun. And he's looking well, but is Andy Dalton the future of the Dallas Cowboys this year? Can he get it? Because Dak, I mean, they haven't won a lot of games, but he's playing behind great fantasy quarterback. Can Andy Dalton be the guy that brings the Cowboys? I mean, Taylor,
I'll start with this one just because Andy Dalton and Carson Wentz are the same quarterback. If you look at their,
they're both gingers. Come on now.
No, you look at their stats. They basically have the same. They have the 4.6 touchdown percentage, which is exactly the same. They have a 2% interception percentage, exactly the same. One's 9%. Passer rating, 88% passer rating. They're basically the same quarterback. The only difference is that Andy Dalton has more accomplishments than Carson Wentz. He's actually took his team to the playoffs multiple times, and I actually have more faith in the Cowboys in general. So that I think we're actually in the division easy. To be honest with you, we're going to end going in probably about 7-9, and taking the division.
Oh, well, I guess we're going
Josh, with your
but I want to first, Josh.
Stats.
Sorry, I think my internet's lagging. But Josh, I wanted to know about your thoughts on that, and then we'll go into the NFC East, I guess, because Taylor brought it up. So tell me about Andy Dalton real quick.
Andy Dalton is not as good as Carson Wentz. I'll tell you that right now. First off, Andy Dalton has two 4,000-yard passing seasons and did it with AJ Green. Okay, Carson Wentz has never ever had a wide receiver the caliber of AJ Green. Probably never will, because Philadelphia can't develop any talent at all right now. It's ridiculous. That being said, okay, I agree. The Cowboys will go 7-9. That's what I have them at. And I have them losing the division by a half a game because I have the Eagles also finishing with 7 wins. That tie against Cincinnati is going to get them into the playoffs.
I love that tie is going to get them in the playoffs. That's my favorite.
I mean, look, both defenses suck right now. The biggest difference is Philly actually has a lockdown corner in Darius Slay. The Cowboys don't have that. And Philly's defensive line is actually getting pressure. Outside of Aldon Smith, Cowboys aren't generating any pressure right now.
Well,
and they're paying DeMarcus Lawrence.
Outside of Fletcher Cox, you don't have anyone either.
Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat, both those guys have been killing it off the edge. Malik Jackson on the interior.
We're getting Vander Esch back here in the next couple weeks.
So he can get hurt again? That's what he does.
Okay. All right, so going back to the NFC East now. So you're saying the Eagles are going to win by half a game with 7. I know, Taylor, who you're going to say is going to win. How many wins are the Cowboys going to have to win this division?
I said we're going to win with that. We're going to win with a 7-9 record, and reason being is because we're going to sweep the rest of the division, and those are going to be the rest of our wins. We're going to go 2-0 against the Eagles, 2-0 against the Redskins, 2-0 against the Giants, and those will be the rest of our wins. I'm actually picking us this weekend against the Cardinals. I'm happy that Chandler Jones is hurt because he has sacks in week 6 since he's been traded from the Patriots, Chandler Jones. So I'm happy he's out for the rest of the season. He's not going to be playing against us this week. I haven't been a believer on Arizona at all. So I think we may get the win this week, but if not, like I said, I think we're going to sweep the division, go 6-0 like we usually do, and win the division.
All right. I see the Redskins and the Giants maybe getting another win, sneaking in there just because. But it's going into week 6, talking about these week 6 games. Who is your week 6 lock of the week? If I'm putting my money on somebody this weekend, I haven't even looked at the slate of games. I know the Browns play the Steelers, and that's all that matters to me. So I need your week 6 locks, guys.
I got 2 locks for sure. Perfect locks. 6 out of 7 on my bets last week. 6 out of 7 perfect bets. definitely listen to everything I have to say. The first big bet is those Eagles. You definitely want to pick those Ravens. Ravens are getting 7.5 this week. Oh, the Ravens are going to win by at least 20. So definitely pick the Ravens. The other one I'm going against is another one that's going to make people not happy is bet those Packers. The Packers are only getting 1 point right now against the Bucks. They are going to slaughter the Bucks. They are going to kill them by double digits at least. So Packers, Ravens, 2 locks of the week.
All right, Josh, I know you're a gambling man.
I was going to say, I'm going to preface this. I'm not much of a gambler. That's my co-host, Joe.
Well, you're smart because
the two games in terms of the spread that stood out to me were the Titans at -3 against Houston and Green Bay at -1. I can't do the Bucks. They suck. I mean, yes, they get Chris Godwin back. They've got a solid defense, but Green Bay right now is firing on all cylinders. They get Devontae Adams back. I'll take that bet all day, every day. Titans.
You know what Aaron Rodgers has? The best QBR rating through 4 games in the history of the NFL. Not just this year, in the history of the NFL.
So what you're saying is the Packers should waste the first-round pick on a quarterback that's not ready for 3 years every time?
It's just motivation.
Because apparently that's what motivates Aaron Rodgers, because he's just like dog crap the last 2 years.
Just piss him off.
But how about the schedule, though, for Tom Brady? I mean, he's playing Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, the Bucs schedule with these quarterback matchups have been outstanding. But I remember 2 years ago when I was assigned the Green Bay Packers on our old show, and Matt LaFleur was the new coach, and him and Aaron Rodgers were butting heads. And I did this, like, I read all the articles on him, and they were going to get these receivers out fast. And they Rodgers didn't have to make a play out of a broken down play. He was going to throw a ball to an open guy, and he didn't like that. And all of a sudden, him and Matt LaFleur have this chemistry. He has no receivers, and Aaron Jones, most underrated guy. I mean, what was he picked in most fantasy drafts? Like a lot lower than a lot of these other guys. I mean, the Packers are firing on all cylinders. So Packers are for real. Definitely, we know the Packers are for real.
In the league too.
So I want to go to for real or a fraud.
They're the number one.
I want to start with
for real or for fraud.
Yeah, I want to start with the Buffalo Bills.
Josh, you can start with this one.
All right, so Tennessee. I know Tennessee had like 3 weeks rest from all their COVID and stuff, and the Bills got a little bit exposed. Are the Bills for real or are they a fraud?
I think they're for real. I mean, right now, who in the AFC East is going to challenge them? I mean, we talked. New England has been running that division for so long. Without Brady, they're human.
But Cam Newton looks good when
Cam Newton looks good, sure, but their offensive line is abysmal. They've got holes everywhere. Sony Michel looks like the absolute worst first-round pick I've seen in the last 5 years. There's a lot of issues there that they need to work through. And obviously with the COVID concerns, that doesn't help any. But hopefully they've gotten through that and they'll move on. But right now, like, you're seeing the Buffalo offense take that next step. They right now are neck and neck with Arizona, running the most 4 wide receiver sets this year. That, when you look at what the Buffalo Bills have done on offense the last couple of years, that is not a stat that you would think like they correlate with at all. You get Stephon Diggs. John Brown should be back.
Yeah. Just because Ravens week, are they for real? Like, they got
he just said he said for real on his end. On my end, it depends what you mean by for real, because I think they are basically the Ravens.
I guess. Like,
in my mindset, they're a fraud. Reason being is they're basically like the Ravens of 2 years ago. They're going to make it to the playoffs and they're going to get knocked out early, basically because they're going to defend their strengths just like someone defends Lamar's strengths, and they're going to shut it down and siphon them early, and they're going to get an early playoff exit. I mean, granted, there's only 2 teams that make it to the Super Bowl out of 32, but I think in that case, they're going to be a fraud, and they're going to be a fraud for a couple more years. I think it's going to be a couple more years before Josh Allen really gets it together. Right now, he's chucking it down the field when they're up by 30 points. I don't really think he needs to do that now. I think they need to find more of a running game. I think Zach Moss needs to be more a part of their offensive situation. And once they get that intertwined with everything, I think they'll be okay. But I unfortunately don't think this is the year for them.
Keep in mind, Buffalo was without Tre'Davious White last week. which is why you saw A.J. Brown have such a good game. You put Tre'Davious White in there, not Josh
I picked the Bills
Norman.
to win that game. I picked the Bills.
Well, but that's the point I'm getting at. You add Tre'Davious White, that defense is better. I mean, they held Derrick Henry under 3 yards per carry.
Just imagine if
Usually
they
when
still
teams
had
do that, they win.
Imagine if they still had Gilmore. Oh, my God.
And thanks
Well,
to
you bring Gilmore and you probably don't draft White. So
Josh told me, put Henry on your bench. You don't know if that game's going to be played. Left Henry on my bench. 5-0, still won my game with Derrick Henry leaving those 10 points on the bench. So thanks, Josh.
Wow.
And is anyone else undefeated in the Rafferty's League, Taylor? And your side?
Yeah, Tony. I play him this week. Tony, our friend. Me and Josh's friend, Tony.
He's my friend too.
Okay.
Whatever.
Well, he's an Eagles friend.
But yeah. All right.
All right. Who else we got?
All right. My Cleveland Browns, 4-1 Cleveland Browns. We beat the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
We lost. We're going up against Pittsburgh this week. Are we for real or for fraud? Taylor, I'll start with you.
I'm going to go with fraud on this one too, as well. Obviously, you know that reason I showed that stat earlier today that Baker Mayfield has a 38% passer rate or completion percentage in the fourth quarter. From first quarter down, his completion percentage falls off a cliff. So I think against the Steelers, they're gonna have a rough week this week. I think against the Ravens, they're going to have a rough time. So I think they're ultimately going to finish in third in the division. I think it'll be around 8-8 and probably not make the playoffs this year. I think as a team and as a mindset, I think they are on the upswing. But unfortunately, it has to boil down to Baker. And I don't think Baker is taking that big step that I think he needed to take this year, unfortunately. And for those reasons, I'm calling them a fraud.
Well, you've clearly never watched the Cleveland Browns play football because Baker has taken a huge step in my eyes. I don't know. I mean, obviously that third quarter, but when we're ahead, I think Alex Van Pelt and Stefanski really have them going the right track. And when they get Nick Chubb back, who hasn't played in 6 weeks, not beat up and healthy. But anyways, I'll go back to you, Josh, because I'm just moderating this, my opinion.
my biggest thing with the Browns, and I will agree with Taylor on this, is that it does fall on Baker's shoulders. Now, when you look at his stats and metrics from last year to this year, he's actually performing worse, even though the Browns as a team are performing better. And a lot of that has to do with the scheme that Stefanski is running.
It's the scheme, and the scheme is exactly
correct. When you look at what Stefanski did with Minnesota, they ran a lot of two tight end sets. They work in the additional running backs. You have guys like Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. Obviously, Chubb is hurt now. They're going to get him back. When those two are on the field, they were leading the NFL with over 200 rushing yards per game. That dipped a little bit last week. They're now at 188 rushing yards per game, but that still tops the league. The downside to that, they're averaging less than 200 passing yards per game. You have to be able to throw the football to win in this league. So I think that while they'll make the playoffs. Here's the thing, because this year there are 7 teams that make the playoffs in each league, right? When you look at the AFC East, the AFC West, and the AFC South, can you really point to 2 teams in any of those divisions that can make it? Maybe the Patriots if Cam Newton gets going. But outside of that, it's going to be the division winner, and that's it. Lamar Jackson looks human this year. The Steelers have a great defense. Right. So as long as the Browns can continue to run the football, the Browns will have a chance to make the playoffs. How far they get in the playoffs, I'm not 100% sold. But if you're asking me if they can make the playoffs, yes. If they can advance, no.
Okay.
That's alluding back to what I said about Baker in the fourth quarter, because when it comes to the playoffs, a quarterback needs to make a good throw at a crucial time in the fourth quarter. And unfortunately, I don't think Baker is at that point yet. I think he just needs to get better. I don't know if he needs a better
one. He's still learning. It's okay. It's better than me.
He's in his third year, but it's also the first year in Stefanski's system.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I think the team is on the upward trajectory. I just think the team, unfortunately, this year is not.
They've also had a lot of injuries on defense. So I think as the year progresses, they get some of those guys back. That's going to improve their overall defense because they have a lockdown number 1 corner in Denzel Ward. But outside of that, their secondary has been shredded.
Yeah, it's been injury ridden season for everybody. Nick Chubb,
like most teams, like most teams.
He's not done for the year, And all right, I'm not gonna defend myself with my Browns. I know we're going to make the blast. I know we're going to win on Sunday. And that's my week 6 lock of the week. And don't come at me if you lose money. All right.
Who else we got?
We're going into the Rams, I believe. Yeah, Rams. We're going alphabetical order. Well, Raiders have been next, but we're going Rams. The 4-run Rams. I'm seeing everywhere in every sports news saying that the Rams are the NFC contender now. Jared Goff's figured it back out. Are the Rams for real or are the Rams a fraud? Josh, I'll start with you. We started Taylor last time.
I mean, I don't think the Rams really ever fell off. I mean, they've been a good team. Like, yes, they missed the playoffs last year, but they were still competitive, right? I mean, their passing defense has been solid with the addition of Jalen Ramsey. Their offensive line has been blocking better. They're getting back to what made them a winning team, which was running more 3 wide, 11 personnel sets. Jared Goff has been picking his spots. He hasn't been like a world beater, but he's been reliable and he's making plays. But keep in mind, they're 4-1. Those 4 wins came against the NFC East, who have a combined, 4 wins on the season? So you can take that with a grain of salt. For me, the biggest test for the Rams is going to be this week in a division game against San Francisco, who, again, just got absolutely embarrassed by Miami. They're dealing with their own injuries. Jimmy Garoppolo is still trying to come back from injury. I think they can probably win this game, but then you still have Seattle that you have to play twice, who, granted, their defense is god-awful, but Russell Wilson looks absolutely amazing. And the Cardinals are clearly on the upswing with the addition of DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, Russell just became a 99 Madam this week as well.
It should have been that a long time ago, but
yep. I'm gonna go with a pretender or a fraud, just because of that reason. Just because the only 4 wins are against the NFC East, and we really haven't seen anyone play. I mean, Aaron Donald has just been wrecking people. I mean, I love just watching a Rams game and watching just focus, just like for a Browns game, watching Myles Garrett, because they're unblockable, and it's amazing to watch how they just manhandle people or manhandle double teams and stuff like that. But just like Josh said, like against the Cowboys, I obviously watched that game every single play. All they did was play action rollouts, play action throws to the flat, every single play. And I think that just gives more testament to Sean McVay. And he's really going back to the basics when it comes to Jared Goff, because I think last year they thought that Jared Goff had taken a step forward. So they let him have more of the reins, and they've realized, no, you're really not that good, Jared Goff. We need to bring it back in. Let's throw more of these flats routes, more of these drag routes, more of these screens to really bring it back in. And I think really Sean McVay has been the reason why they're 4-1. And the reason why I think they'll stay in it and probably make the playoffs, but I think they're going to bow out pretty early.
Well, I mean, he's an offensive genius, and when they went to the Super Bowl against the Patriots a few years ago.
Yes, but he's an offensive genius in the way that Adam Gase is not an offensive genius.
Yes, he is. He is Adam Gase opposite.
I just can't.
But he actually is. Like him and Shanahan are actually 2 offensive geniuses. And Sean Payton, those 3 are the top offensive minds in the whole league. Sean Payton,
they're still not as good as Andy Reid, but continue.
I know. Well, I'm saying all the sites I'm seeing now.
The Andy Reid on there as well. Frank Reich.
The 4 Rams are the favorite now over the Seahawks or the Packers, even the Saints in the NFC. I don't believe it, and I think they're a fraud as well.
They scored 17 points against the Giants. That's all you need to know.
Yeah. I want to know about the Oakland Raiders beating
Las Vegas Raiders.
Las Vegas Raiders. My favorite place in the world, Las Vegas, beating the Kansas City Chiefs, which was a big thing for our friend Carl at Rafferty's Barn Grill, which you should come see us on Sundays and watch football there. But I know Carl was very, very happy. Henry Ruggs looking good. Oh my God, all these receivers are looking really good all of a sudden. No. And so I want to know, the Raiders, is that just a fluke game by the Chiefs, or the Raiders actually someone to contend with?
The Raiders are streaky. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. They got Ruggs healthy. They're still waiting on Bryan Edwards to get healthy. Again, those 2 are rookies, so they're going to have very up and down performances. Derek Carr is Derek Carr. He's going to have a lot of low percentage passes, and he's going to pick and choose his spots. Hasn't really thrown the ball deep because Ruggs hasn't been playing. So for me, it boils down to their defense, and their defense is god awful. They're not going to be able to stop anybody. They're so bad. Like, they'll have a couple games where they stop someone like the Chiefs because the Chiefs overestimate them, or underestimate them, excuse me. But that's what they are. Like, they're a very streaky team, and you're relying on a lot of young players. CEH should have absolutely shredded that defense, and he ends up with 40 yards rushing on 10 carries. Like, the Raiders going into that game allowed the most fantasy points to opposing running backs. Like, they're bad. Yeah. I love Jonathan Abram as a safety. He is a tone setter, but that's it. Like, I'm not sold on Damon Arnett, who's a rookie. Trayvon Mullen, again, winning pedigree, came from Clemson, still a second-year guy. They're going to bite on routes. A good offensive game plan can absolutely embarrass them.
A Jalen Mills double move all day, every day. Yeah, I'm along the same lines as, sick of saying everyone's a pretender that we're bringing up, but I think they're a fraud as well, just because the same reasons, basically. They're so young. They drafted all those defensive linemen last year, from Clemson. They're just going to be up and down, unfortunately. Some weeks they're going to be in, some weeks they're going to be out, based on the scheme that they know or don't know. They're going to be in and out. And so I think they're a pretender. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. They may squeeze in at that last seed, but they're not going to make any noise. I like once again, they're kind of like the Browns. Their trajectory is up this year, and obviously a lot better than last year and the year prior, but I like what they're doing, and I think some of these young guys will actually roll into form, like Jonathan Abram, who I think is amazing, and he's got an attitude to him when it comes to being around the football. He talks a lot of smack, which I love. The more talking smack, the better, obviously. And so I like it, but they're a fraud in my book.
The more smack talk, the better. Straight quote from Taylor Mayfield, which is all he does. Well, that's why I brought up these teams, because you're like, I don't want to say pretender on every team, but these are teams that are surprisingly good records that we didn't expect to be maybe that good. Tennessee Titans, I don't know. We also have the stat that, like, in 14 games with the Titans, Ryan Tannehill has better numbers than Patrick Mahomes.
This is the one where I'm changing my mind.
Let's go with you.
I am.
They're for real. Huh?
They are for real. I was a little weary of them. They were on that little run at the end of the year that brought them in the playoffs, and they beat some teams, and they made it to obviously playing the Chiefs. And I was curious to see how that transitioned to this year, to see if it really would. And a couple games in, they were not the same. They were getting torched on defense everywhere you looked. Vikings were just running all over them, and they barely squeaked that game out. But after last week, I love Mike Vrabel. I love the attitude he brings. He's got great.
University, Mike Vrabel. Sorry, I had to get that in
there. But they ended up making Tannehill one of the most efficient, the fourth rated or most efficient passer in NFL history last year. So I like what they're doing, especially with Henry, how he ran the ball last week. He had a slow start, but he usually does have a slow start to every season, it seems like. So I like Tennessee. I think they're gonna obviously make the playoffs, but I think they're gonna make a run to, at least the second round. They're gonna win a playoff game for sure. So they're for real in my book.
They were America's team when they beat the Patriots last year. That's all I know is everybody was rooting for them to beat the Patriots.
And I love AJ Brown, and Jonnu Smith was before the season. He was my fantasy sleeper of the year, and he's only proved me right every single week. He's amazing. So, and he's a man child. So I love Jonnu Smith just like Kittle was last year. So,
all right, real quick, Josh, go to you on that. I want to ask you this fantasy question, Josh. We got Tom Brady versus Green Bay or Ryan Tannehill versus Houston.
Real quick, Sean, big shout out, buddy. Thanks for tuning in, man. He tunes in all of our shows too.
Awesome.
On Wednesday.
Yeah, I think he started following me today on Twitter. I think.
Yeah, love that dude. Anyway, Sean, to answer your question, I would lean Rodgers in this instance. I think both of them are great options.
No, Rodgers. It's Tom Brady or
Tom Brady
or Tannehill. See, this is what happens when you take it down. Okay, go Tannehill. I'm not. Yeah.
You can't bench Aaron Rodgers right now.
Yeah.
Not bench
right, you run on Green Bay, passing on them. Jair Alexander, they've done really well. Again, getting Chris Godwin back, I think will be big for them. But right now, Tannehill is just absolutely clicking. So I would roll with him.
Oh, I was going.
Plus, he has the rushing upside that Brady doesn't. So
all right. Well, speaking of Tannehill, Tennessee, fraud or for real, Josh? Sorry to interrupt your beer.
mid drink.
Tennessee's for real. Look, they made it all the way to the AFC Championship game last year on the back of Derrick Henry. Right now, Derrick Henry has the most rushing attempts on average per game in the NFL, and he's doing it on less than 4 yards per carry. Like, he's not been efficient. Taylor, you mentioned he has a slow start. A lot of these slow starts have been because of the lack of usage. He's getting the usage. I don't know if maybe what we're seeing is all of that excess usage from last year catching up to him, or maybe losing Jack Conklin, has really affected that run blocking unit on the offense.
Look at the run game of the Browns now that they have him.
But exactly. Yeah. Their run blocking has been fantastic, adding Conklin and the rookie Wills from Alabama. But I digress. Right now, Tannehill's winning them football games because that defense is very up and down. But they're going to get
Norman knows he's running pretty good.
Well, but look, Derrick Henry's going to stiff arm everybody. That's what happens. And Josh Norman is a
small guy.
That was my favorite NFL meme video of the week with him.
The one you saw. Yeah, I saw the one you posted. And we both agree on that.
They're winning on the arm of Ryan Tannehill right now. They're going to get Corey Davis back. He's back off the COVID list. Defensive tackle Jeffrey Simmons is back off the COVID list. So they're getting key components back, which is ultimately going to make that defense better. But again, Vrabel's a defensive guy. They keep their offensive game plan simple. I think Arthur Smith, their offensive coordinator, is one of the most underrated offensive guys in the NFL right now. And he came out of nowhere. Like, he's never been a play caller. He was nothing more than like a quality control guy. I think he was a tight ends coach before they promoted him to offensive coordinator. He's another young guy, leans on Derrick Henry. And right now he's getting creative. Ryan Tannehill is familiar with that offense.
Coordinator.
Yeah, and Jonnu Smith, heading into the NFL draft, my preseason rankings before I did any projections, Jonnu Smith was my tight end 5, and I got laughed at. And right now, he is absolutely balling. Tennessee knows how to use tight ends.
Terrible draft for tight ends. Like, I didn't think anyone was going to make any impact as a tight end.
The thing is like, outside of the big 5, like outside of, and really you could even exclude Ertz from that conversation right now, who has just looked god awful. But Kittle, Andrews, Kelsey, Waller, those were the guys. And then after that, it was, I might as well just sit back and wait, because all those guys in that 6 to 10 range,
the Raft League guy of Kelsey, Kittle, and Jonnu Smith.
Why on earth would you draft Kelsey and Kittle? That makes
I was 12, and I
also had to be taken out on a wheelchair because he was so drunk.
And I'm in second place. So how about that?
So no, and it's weird. It's a weird year. Like Tennessee, last year, yeah, but also Derrick Henry, we saw him emerge in the second half of last year. They used him, they utilized him, but we didn't see him be a stud until that second half of the season. So, but these are all kind of teams, the Browns and the Titans stuff that you're not used to saying have these four, even the Bills.
One of the teams I was hoping you were going to have on that list was the Bucks, and because with our Beauty and the Cleats host, Haley Tchaikovsky, have agreed since day one that the Bucks are pretenders and are going to miss the playoffs, going to finish 8-8, 7-9, 6-10, and be out of the playoffs. And everyone around Tampa, they're not going to get the Tampa trifecta here, with the 3 championships. So they're going to be 3-3 after this week.
All right, real quick, I want to go to baseball since you brought that up. I got my Rays shirt. I'm going to talk anything about it. Are the Rays going to blow this? The Astros won again tonight.
There's no way they're going to blow it.
You don't think
they're going to make it to the World Series and lose, but they'll at least make it. There's no way they have such good starting pitching. There's
okay. So Taylor's been muted by our producer in the background. There, Josh. I don't know. Are you? What are you? Phillies fan?
I am actually a Yankees fan.
Oh, well then. Okay, perfect. So let's go Rays. Next week's episode, and we're on the World Series. I'm going to beat the stinking Dodgers or Braves or whatever.
No, here's the thing. I'm big on karma. Right now, karma is just, they're toying with the Astros right now. They're giving them a sense of hope, and the Rays are going to pull that carpet right out from under them. So
it sucks for Tampa. It's a good sports town. It's a hockey town. I'm thinking now it's going to be a COVID year where no one can go to games. At least we can have.
Here's the thing too. I would not put it past them to actually win the World Series. The Dodgers, they choke, and they have choked now for I don't know how many years it's been. So
they've been in the World
if
Series
the Dodgers end up beating the Braves and make it there, It will be a very interesting World Series.
They were winning
Well,
tonight.
it's
Last
scary
time I
that the
went.
Braves make it because Chip and Nick on our panel are also Braves fans, and
They are.
with Rays fans. So we're gonna have some bets going on. So you got to stay tuned to Sports Caffeine. So that's gonna do it for us tonight, guys. Thank you. I want more debating next time. There wasn't much trash talking, but we have been brought to you again by Manscaped. Go to Manscaped.
I thought we did good. We didn't kill each other. We were nice. We were cordial. We didn't cuss.
You got muted once or twice, right?
That's normal.
Your debut episode of Sports Caffeine Nightcap. Get your cup of coffee, put a little whatever you put in there, bourbon or amaretto, have your nightcap. Go to manscaped.com, promo code SC2020, 20% off, free shipping. And thank you, Josh, so much for being here. We'll be back soon. Taylor, whatever. Thank you, everybody.
Love you guys.
Happy Nightcap. Good night.
Watch Peyton's nephew.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Sports Caffeine, available for streaming on FanStreamSports.com and FanStream